Erica Peterson, owner of EP Realty with Realty One Group signature. Welcome to Community Connection, where I interview local business owners. And today I'll be speaking with Lisa Dutson with Kismet Lending. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. So with that being said, we'll jump right into the questions. Please describe your business.
So I work with Kismet Lending. We are a mortgage company. So basically, we help people get financing for a mortgage or for a home.
Nice. What Lisa does is right in my alley. So this is a fun one. So Lisa, tell us why or how you decided to be a loan officer.
So I decided, so I've been in the industry for a while. I did not start out as a loan officer. I actually started out helping loan officers get their licensing. It's a big process that you have to go through that sometimes, to put it bluntly, loan officers don't want to go through it. So it can be cumbersome, So anyways, so that's where I started out in the industry. And then I've just had just different jobs throughout. But what got me here in this space as far as being a loan officer, I actually worked I started out, I guess, on this side of things, on the, financial side, as far as like helping people get the loans. I started out as a loan officer assistant. And what I found throughout that is I didn't like the way that things were being handled as far as the information that was being provided to the borrower or the customer. I felt that the loan officers that I worked with weren't being honest. And I didn't like the hiding, the hiding behind the closed doors, or hiding behind the assistant, me, and not being upfront honest with the loan officer. So I decided that I wanted to become a loan officer so I could provide that information, so I could actually be a window into the industry and help people understand what they were about to do. I mean, it's a really, really big decision. It's one of the biggest financial decisions you're going to make in your entire life, most likely. And so I feel like that there needs to be a lot of information provided up front to the client, so they know what they're about to do. Right. And so, and some people portray getting a mortgage as a scary thing, and it doesn't have to be. It's actually super fun. It's our job, Erica, mine and your job, to take on that piece of it and make sure they have the feeling of safety as they're going through this process that can be overwhelming, but it really doesn't need to be. So anyway, that's why I got into it.
Well, Lisa definitely said a mouthful. I'm not going to add too much to it. She's the go-to person that helps in the real estate world before you even get to me. So what she does is extremely important, people, and she's the go-to. Lisa, tell us one of your most interesting client stories when it comes to lending.
Well, let's see, an interesting story. I've had so many.
A challenge that you kind of turn around.
What was that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Or any challenges you had with a particular client coming in that might be having a hard time getting a loan, and what you were able to do to turn things around for them.
Well, no loan is ever the same. It doesn't matter if you have the same credit score. It doesn't matter if you live in the same house. It doesn't matter. No loan is ever the same. And so, we've had a lot of interesting files that come through. And that's one thing I do want to say that I pride myself on is my company I work with a team that is so knowledgeable, and they're so incredible at getting the job done. Obviously we can't do every loan, right? There's sometimes you just have to say no. But what I love about us is we always give a trajectory, or we give a roadmap as to how you're going to get there, or when you're going to get there. So it's never a no, it's always a when you are going to be there, right? So anyway, I got sidetracked from the question, but one thing I came up against that I'm really proud of me and my team is we had a transaction come up where they wanted to do a reverse mortgage. Now that was new for us. That was a field we haven't really dabbled in. And so, we needed to understand it a little bit more. And that's one thing that's amazing is we always ask a ton of questions to our lenders because we want to make sure that we're putting our client in a good spot that's good for them, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, not to get into too many details, but long story short, on a reverse mortgage, a lender can make, you can make a lot of money on a reverse mortgage.
Didn't
And
know
I'm not
that.
saying, what's that?
So I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can. And it's not something that, so I got to tread lightly here because I don't want to upset loan officers that do reverse mortgages. But what I found is with the money that I could make, that we could make as a company on this loan, it didn't feel right to us. So essentially, we ended up making the lower amount on the deal because you can set your margin basically when you do a reverse mortgage, right? And I'm not saying that the loan officer who chooses to set their margin higher is not worth that value. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that it didn't feel right to take a larger margin from that borrower, right? So my team and I decided that we were going to take the lower end of that margin because it felt right. And when we did speak to the lender and we said, hey, this amount doesn't feel good. We want to take this amount because we just don't believe in being paid more than what we should be paid, for that deal. And the lender did say, you understand that you are taking X amount of dollars, versus X amount of dollars. And we said, oh, we absolutely understand. We absolutely understand because it's just in our eyes are the value, for lack of a better word, it wasn't right to take that money from the client. So that was an interesting journey for us to go on. As far as the reverse mortgage piece went. So anyway, I really hope I didn't upset some other loan officers if they do dabble in that. But what's that?
They disrupt the system, which is what your team is all about.
We do.
Jesse will be very proud of you, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys, Lisa is really right. With what we both do, we do work with lots of different clients, and it's people business, and the clients always comes first. It's not always about the money. It's about helping these clients move on to their journey and guide them to a better path. So thank you for being honest with your clients and helping them with their journey. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So this is more like my thing with my clients. I have lots of first-time home buyers that want to buy a home, but they don't know where to begin with the process. Everybody's scared about, oh my gosh, it's a lot of work for me to buy a house. They don't even know what to do. What would be one advice you could tell someone that is thinking of buying, but they don't know where to start?
My advice would be to pick up the phone and call a loan officer. And the reason why I say that is because I know it's very scary and I know it's intimidating, but it's just like you hear, it's kind of like the news, right? Like you listen to the news and we get all scared and we're like, oh my gosh, so many things are happening. And it's just like, is that even real? Who knows? But at the same time, like you picking up a phone and calling a mortgage loan officer, they can guide you down that path and they can give you everything that you need to know, and a loan officer that's really invested in you will give you, they'll give you an entire trajectory or a roadmap of what you need to do. And even if they say no, then for me, it's not no, it's just not yet, right? And so we're going to provide you a path of what to do, what steps to take in order to get there, right? And most likely they'll provide you a timeline as well to tell you, when we foresee you being there, right? As long as you follow everything. And that's where it gets hard, is because you have, you sit down and you make a plan with a loan officer, and it's hard, life happens. It's hard to stick to that plan. You know what I mean? But stay in contact with that loan officer too. We should be following up with our clients monthly, if they're on a trajectory, and depending on where you are in the process, right, we should be following up with you just to make sure that we're still on that path. And if something changes, reach out, let's have a conversation, and let's get you back on the right path. So I know it sounds scary. I know there's a lot of talk out there about the market and things like that, and everybody has their own opinion of what's going to happen. But yeah, to answer your question, reach out, pick up the phone and call a loan officer so you can get the information that you need.
Yes. And also, do not go in on your own. If you're thinking of buying a home, find a reliable real estate professional to guide you to the trusted lenders they usually work with to take better care of you. Not every lender is the same. Same goes with real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you work with someone that you trust. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, of course.
And what I've been hearing lately is people wanting to wait to buy a home due to interest rate because they think the market is going to crash and interest rate is going to go down somehow. What advice would you give them knowing what is happening in the lending world when it comes to interest rate?
Well, I would say that we've been spoiled over the last 2 years when it comes to interest rate. And the reason why we were spoiled is because of COVID. You know, interest rates dropped immensely. And during that time, lenders were even having a hard time, you know, quoting interest rates or locking in interest rates because they were dropping so quickly. But again, that happened because of COVID. So interest rates as a whole are still pretty low. So that's where it's hard because they're like, oh, it's going to crash, it's going to bubble. And I have buyers that sat out 3 years ago and said, hey, I'm going to wait until the interest rates go low. And now they're kicking themselves because they're like, why did I wait? And I'm like, I don't know. I told you not to wait, but what do I know? I just do this every day. So, you know, and it's interesting too, because, you know, it's funny when, you know, you're having a conversation with someone and then all of a sudden everybody becomes like if you're interested in buying a home, right? And you're talking to your friend, and all of a sudden your friend's a loan officer, right? And it's just like, and all of a sudden they're a real estate agent. And it's like, no, like, I mean, not to be rude, but you stick to what you do, whatever that is. And then I'm going to reach out to a professional, Erica or myself, so we can guide you down that path. So, I mean, the talk is that, and what we've been seeing as far as trends go, it's not going to crash. It's not going to crash. And so that thought needs to just, it's a common misconception and it's unfortunate, but I mean, reach out to a lender and just ask the questions. And on top of that, reach out to, you know, I would say no more than 3 lenders and see if our advice is all the same, right? And then just take what you like and leave what you don't, so to speak. But at the same time, it's, you know, that's what's out there. That's the talk, and it's not going to crash. So
thank you. I appreciate you explaining that process to not just first-time home buyers, but just anyone that thinks you will crash.
Yeah.
I appreciate that a lot. Now, let's also talk about down payment and credit score. So my passion truly is helping first-time home buyers, always. I always want to see families get into a home. If you have 2 jobs, I believe there's a way for you to become a homeowner. With that being said, most people are afraid, okay, I don't have 10%, 20% down. What is the minimum credit score anyone could be qualified to buy a home? And if so, what is the minimum down payment that they need to have to make something work?
Okay, so that one is kind of a tough one. And the reason why I say that is it depends on the lender that you're using. And so it's hard for me because I could say a 580, right? But then I have a lender who will take a 570. Does that make sense?
Oh,
yeah. And so, excuse me, not 570. I apologize. 574 is the last deal that I did. It was a 574 was my low credit score, right? And it was a cash out refinance, and we were able to get it done. But no loan is ever the same. So with that loan, I did have another buyer attached to that had a higher credit score, right? That we were able to use as compensating factors, which essentially, you know, makes the loan look better, right?
Yeah.
So that one's just a tough one for me. And the reason why I say that, Erica, is it literally just depends on one, the situation, and 2, which lender you're using. So for me and my company, we have about 8 different lenders we can use and we can price you out with to see how your loan fits and where we can, strategically get you financing, right? As far as Utah housing goes, and Utah housing is where you have the down payment assistance programs, right? Unfortunately, my company, and we struggle with it all the time, we're not able to offer Utah housing. And that's one area of expertise that I don't know a lot about, to be honest with you. So as far as the credit score goes and what you need for that, when I am pricing those out, because what's cool about our company is I do have our lending manager, Brittany Black, who, has worked a lot with those loans. And so what we'll do is we'll kind of just show you, we can't quote you because we don't really know, right, like what the details are going to be, but she's worked in that expertise. So she does know how to look at it and be like, give or take, this is what it could look like, right? So she's able to give us that. But as far as, the credit score goes in the down payment and stuff like that, I personally don't feel comfortable speaking to that piece of it. But it is. And I would hate to say something where I misspoke and then it wouldn't go well. And then, but as far as, FHA and conventional, I mean, the conventional programs, they do have, down payments as low as 3%, but you have to qualify for that. And then you have your 5% down payment, right? And then you have your credit score where it's like, okay, I believe it's a 620. They've lowered it with some of our lenders. It's a 620 now as far as conventional goes. But then you want to look at that and be like, okay, well, maybe I qualify for FHA if my credit score is going to be in that realm, right? So it honestly just depends on each one. Where you have FHA that's 3.5% down, right? Down payment. So yeah, again, those are, hopefully I answered your question.
You did. So from what I get, basically every person is different, every situation is different, but nevertheless, you're willing to look into the situation and see what option works best for them.
Absolutely. And another thing that we'll do is we will refer you to somebody who we believe you will fit with as far as, financing goes, to be able to help you out and answer those really detailed questions that you have, if we can't do the deal. So. Okay.
Well, thank you. I truly appreciate it. So what do you see? What are your goals for next year?
For next year?
Yeah.
Oh my.
At least for a year from now.
Let's see. You know what? I just want to keep providing people with knowledge and teaching them more and more about this industry, right? And so as far as like, money goals and stuff like that, I'm sure that's what I should be setting right now. But I'm just at the school of thought, like, I just want to keep growing my self-awareness, right? And I just want to keep teaching people and letting people know, industry knowledge so they can make decisions when it comes to their home financing, because it's not an easy decision and it's a big one. And I feel like it's getting better, but I feel like there's a lack of knowledge that is provided to our community when it comes to purchasing a home. But again, it is getting better, but I still feel like there's more that we can do. So as far as goals, just keep being a window of, of knowledge for our industry. So.
I like it. Now the floor is completely yours. There's anything else we didn't talk about that you feel like people that will be watching this video needs to know about? Take it.
One thing I do want to bring up is we actually talked about this at our class we had a couple weeks ago. Pre-approval versus a pre-qualification. There's a lot of misunderstandings when it comes to that. And I just want to say that if you are in the market and you're looking for a home and you are being provided a pre-approval, whether it's a real estate agent providing it, whether it's a real estate agent asking the questions, or whether it's a, just a, consumer or borrower, just make sure that you have been pre-approved with a human underwriter. not just given a pre-approval based off of what we call automated underwriting system, because that's essentially just a computer system looking at the data that, me as a loan officer, I put the data into the computer, and you can change that. I can put anything I want into that system, right? Because it's just a computer system. And that computer system's going to say, yep, you're good, Lisa, on everything you just put into this computer, we're solid. But you need an actual human underwriter to look at all those things to be able to tell you, actually, this is what I'm getting. These are the guidelines. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you're out there shopping for a home, make sure you definitely have had your file and your documents, everything looked at by a human underwriter. I can't stress that enough. So make sure you check with your lender, ask the question, has my stuff been looked at by a human underwriter?
Ooh, I cannot stress that enough. You guys, so many real estate transaction deals falls apart strictly exactly what Lisa said. Whether you've been pre-qualified or pre-approved makes such a huge difference. So please, 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 please make sure you get pre-approved. Well, thank you, Lisa. Please help me say a big thank you to our guest, Lisa Dutson with Kismet Lending. Stay tuned for our next episode of Community Connection, where I interview local business owners. My name is Erica Peterson, owner of EP Realty with Realty One Group Signature. Thank you for watching and see you again. Bye.